What up, YouTube? And welcome back to my channel, None of My Woes. I'm Ronnell Matheney, and today I'm going to give you my testimony.
I've been on this road, trying to find my way back home. Can't believe I've been gone this long. Gotta be what I was meant for. This narrow path, so never lie.
Alright, guys. I'm just going to give you a bit of my life story and just let you guys know my testimony and how God saved me. Starting off when I was little, I grew up in a city called Carson, California. I got a big sister who's 5 years older than me, and my mom and my dad. Well, around this time, I'm about 2 or 3. I think my parents, or I know my parents split up around that time. So then it was just my mom taking care of me and my sister. So during this time, my mom, over time, maybe around the time I was 4 years old, I don't know when she was diagnosed with it. My dad told me that she was diagnosed at 19, but she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I didn't know what it was, you know. I'm young. And one day, you know, her health started, slowly her health started declining. She started getting weaker and weaker and weaker, you know, to the point where it was hard for her to walk or even get out of bed. Around this time, I'm about 4 years old, and one day I'm in my room, and it's crazy how you can remember a lot of stuff when you were a kid. I'm in my room, and one day I just hear a big dunk, you know, and kind of find out it came from the bathroom when my mom was taking a shower. Mom's ended up falling in the shower and hitting her head and going to the hospital. So mom ends up going to the hospital. Police come. She can't walk or nothing. She hit her head really bad, and they end up taking her to the hospital. Mom ended up getting a brain aneurysm from the fall from the shower, which ultimately ended up taking her life, you know. So she's in a better place right now with God. Like I said, my dad and my mom were separated when I was a kid. So once my dad got news that mom was in the hospital, he came and, you know, he started looking after her. I mean, they were still married, but they were just separated and going through some things. He came and, you know, stood by his wife the whole time, you know, and he stayed strong for us, you know. But ultimately, once mom died, I think it took a toll on his life. I mean, it took a toll on everybody's life, but I think I was just too young to realize it, you know. So it might have affected me in a certain way, but not the way it did them, because I was only 4 years old. Over time, Pop started doing drugs and drinking a lot of alcohol. He became a completely different person, you know. You're not trying to bash him or nothing, because he's a much better person now. But during this time, you know, he was dancing with the devil, drinking. You know, it was the 80s, you know, 89. Well, the 90s, early 90s. But you know what I mean. It transferred from the 80s, whatever was going on in the 80s, transferred to the 90s, and you know, it just went like that. But you know, Pops used to do some reckless stuff to us, you know, and I forgive him. To this day, I forgive him for everything, you know. I've opened my heart, and I've told him I forgive him and I love him, and we're tight to this day. But ultimately, the abuse and the just everything, you know, it's just we'll save it for another day. But just the abuse and the emotional abuse and everything like that just took a toll, you know. But around this time, you know, I didn't start getting, you know, all this stuff happening until I was about 7, 8, 9. So that was a real dark period, around 7, 8, 9. Um, Long story short, pops and sister end up getting into it, and some stuff happened, and one day I'm in school, and my sister walks into my classroom, and she tells me to come here, and I'm all excited, man. I'm happy because I'm thinking I'm about to go home early. I think like some of the neglect that I had, it made me not interested in school, so I didn't like school at all. All I did was fight in school. I was known for just fighting. That's it. Elementary, I think I fought about at least once a week, if not twice. And I used to get suspended all the time, and it was bad. I was really rebellious. I had a mouth on me, cursing, all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And my sister comes to the class and she's like, "Come on, get your stuff. We about to leave." And I'm thinking, man, I'm about to get out of here. I'm happy I'm about to get out of school early. When you was little and your mom came and got you from school, or your pops came and got you from school, and you was just happy, like, man, I'm going home early today. And it was one of the moments. And as soon as we stepped out of my classroom, I seen two policemen standing outside of the door. Mind you, I think around this time I was 10. Yeah, I was about 10 years old, 5th grade. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm 31 now, so that was a long time ago, but 10 years old, 5th grade, we end up walking out of the classroom, and as soon as we walked out, I noticed it was two police officers. They escorted us to the office where there was this lady who now, is a social worker. And was it? No, I'm sorry, it was a man, social worker, whatever. And I didn't know who this dude was. I'm like, where Pops at? How we getting home? I didn't know. And we ended up getting in this dude's car. He ends up taking us to McDonald's, and then he took us to this big office. I don't remember what city that is, but the Los Angeles social worker building. I forgot what city it's in. But he took us there. We had our little McDonald's, and we sat in a little playroom for hours. And they were pretty much just looking for people that would take us in. He ended up finding a place for us in Compton. And I still didn't know what was going on at the time, but just imagine like a 10-year-old, clueless, don't know what's going on. I didn't even know what a foster home was. I didn't know what social workers were. I didn't know any of that stuff at the time. And it's crazy thinking about it now. But, they end up finding a place for us, and it had to be about 10, 11 o'clock at night. We were at that place since I got out of school early. So we was there for a long time. And they end up taking us to this nice place. In Compton. It was a beautiful big home, and it was in the farm part of Compton. So in the backyard they had chickens, geese, all kind of animals back there, which was crazy. But that would be my home for the next year. I ended up getting in I told you I used to be bad in school. I ended up getting in trouble in school, and I really love this place. Well, to backtrack a little bit, they found a place for me and my sister, which is pretty rare. So when they find a place, it's rare that they keep the siblings together in foster homes. But every now and then you'll find a place that'll take all the siblings together. So fortunately, me and my sister were able to stay together. Well, so I thought. Because turns out, I want to say about 3-4 days after us living there, my sister ran away, went AWOL. She ran away from the foster home, and I was there by myself. I had three foster sisters, and they're like really close. Like they treated me like their real brother. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for them, I don't know how I would have survived without my sister, without my family. Because basically, when my sister ran away, I was truly alone, and that bothered me a lot. You know, thinking that my sister would just up and leave me like that, when her and my dad was the one that got into it, and she was the one that actually, you know, got us out of the house with my dad. And then instead of us sticking together, she put me in that place and dipped out. After that, about a year, man, I was there for a year, and I ended up getting in trouble in school, and it was for talking in school. And at this school, I wasn't even fighting anymore. I been stopped fighting, made a ton of new friends. I'm not fighting anymore, but I'm real talkative in class clown and all that stuff. So I don't think the assistant teacher liked me too much, and she would tell the teacher like he's talking too much, and he's disturbing the class and everything like that. And what my teacher kept calling my foster mom and telling her like Ronnell's disrupting the class and everything like that. And one day my foster mom came up to me and she told me, if I get one more call from your teacher, you're out of here. And I'm like, I didn't think that was a bad offense. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was fighting. I could have been doing so much more in Compton. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, one day, so I go to school one day, and next thing you know, my social worker comes to my school like during lunch. And she came and picked me up and put me in the car and took me to my foster parents' house, took me home or whatever. And when I got there, all my bags were packed at the front door. Crazy, right? All packed at the front door, and my sisters were crying and everything. And man, I couldn't believe it because I didn't even know my teacher called. She must have called again. I must have gotten in trouble for talking or whatever. But yeah, man, I was sad. Sad. Ended up going to another foster home where I met my foster parents, Nana and Pawpaw. It was rough at first because Nana was real strong and bold, and she didn't play. And Pawpaw was the complete opposite. He was complete opposite. Whatever you think the opposite of what I just said, not that he wasn't strong or nothing like that, but he was more mellow, soft-spoken. It took a lot to get him angry. I ended up meeting my foster brothers there, Michael, Joseph, and Mario. And man, if it wasn't for them, bro, it's like God put us all there at the same time so we can be each other's strength, you know? We were like true brothers, but we would call each other cousins. Like me and Mario was there first, and me and Mario were like brothers, and then out of nowhere, Joseph and Michael end up coming, and man, we just called them cousins, but they was truly my brothers. And we went through everything, man. And a lot of times in the foster home, we got put in certain situations that we didn't want to be in, or we were called things that we, you know, didn't really feel. Not like being cursed at and anything like that, but it was just like we were labeled as like bad, I guess, bad kids, or disobedient and things like that when we were just being teenagers, you know. And we never meant them any harm or any danger or anything like that. It's just like a little bit controlling. We didn't like it, so we'd be rebellious, and when we had strength in numbers, so like we would kind of taunt them, and especially when we was together, it was a party, man. And like I said, it was no hurt or no foul play or anything like that. We was just a little bit rebellious when it came to the control aspect. But Nana and Papa are like man, if it wasn't for them, they gave me a home since I was 11 years old, 11 and a half, and kept me all the way until I was 21. Like, it was truly a blessing because they helped out so much, but at the same time, like, it was good and bad, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the worst. They did a lot for us. They put us in a lot of programs. Man, Christmas was always amazing, things like that. But ultimately, God put me in a situation. How I see it is, if it wasn't for God stepping in with the incident of my sister and my dad getting in that little whatever happened, because I wasn't there, I didn't see it. If it wasn't for that, where would I be? If it wasn't for my sister calling a social worker agency or whatever, foster care agency or whatever, where would I be? Because my house used to be the gangster kickback house, you know what I mean? Like, all the gangsters used to come to my house because they were all younger, and my dad was older, but you know, like, we had our own house. They had like a place they can come stay and drink and hide out and all kind of stuff like that. All the gangster boogies, I'm talking about gangster parties, would be in my house, man. And where would I be? They used to nickname me little gang names and teach me stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I went through so much abuse and lost my mom, and all I knew was violence and cursing and all these things. What would have been my destiny? What would have came out of that if I would have stayed there? I'd be a gang member right now, or I'd be in jail or dead or whatever. It's like God pulled me out of that situation and put me somewhere where he knew I would be protected, which was a foster home. And to this day, I look at that and I tell God, thank you. Thank you for putting me in a foster home. Thank you for protecting me and keeping your arms around me and putting me in a safe environment. Like, although I lived in Compton and I lived in Inglewood and everything like that, I had tons of friends. I never felt in danger or anything like that. Like, I just always felt at home, you know, and I always felt God was watching over me. And at the time, my auntie would always pick me up and take me to church, so I definitely knew who God was. I knew the difference between right and wrong and everything like that. But if it wasn't for God placing me in that situation, using my sister to be a tool for him to get me out of there, where would I be? I don't know. And I can't say. But my testimony is that he delivered me from evil and that he brought me out. And look at me now. My life wasn't a crystal stair. It wasn't peaches and cream. It wasn't easy, and it's been a lifelong journey of ups and downs. But I still gave God the glory, the honor, and the praise, because to this day he still shows me favor. He's still working on my life. He's still lighting my pathway.